Hello and welcome to We Random, episode 51, recording on September 7th, 2021. You know, B, I can't take my dog to the pond anymore because the ducks just keep attacking him. I guess that's what I get for buying a purebred dog. More after this.
Almost Qualified Productions. Your dose of semi-coherent babbling.
Welcome to We Random, episode 51. I'm Brian. That's Christopher. If you stayed with us after that awful, terrible, no good joke, welcome and thank you.
It's a great joke.
Say hello to these people that you've offended.
Hello, people. It was a great joke. You know it. I know it. B knows it. We all know it.
But we're here. It is a Tuesday night, which means that we are going to bring you some wonderful content from our Wheel of Doom. We have some carefully curated and selected topics that we're going to discuss, and as I always tell my wife, it is time for me to get mad online. So before I get mad online, Christopher, what do we have to say to our wonderful people today? Do we have words of wisdom, thoughts, feelings? What are we going for?
You know, I'm just gonna say that I hope you're smiling, and if you're not, hopefully we give you something to smile about during the podcast.
All right, that is a very positive approach to a wheel that's full of mostly not positive topics. So, speaking of some not positive topics, are you ready to spin this wheel?
I am now, yeah. I'm spinning it.
Let's do it.
We're going to start off.
So, All right, so we're starting off with Texas, are we?
Texas it is, yeah.
You didn't play a drop that I feel like was coming.
This one? The We Random Dick of the Week.
Yep.
I mean, there's also this one. They fucking suck. I mean, they both kind of fit.
So we are starting with the hard-hitting topic of the week, which is the Texas abortion law. So the United States Supreme Court refused to block a Texas law prohibiting abortions after cardiac activity is detected, which typically happens about 6 weeks into pregnancy. Supreme Court precedents prohibit states from banning abortion before fetal viability, which is generally when a fetus can sustain life outside of the womb, which is defined at about 22 to 24 weeks into a pregnancy. This law in Texas is unique because it says that doctors cannot perform abortions if a heartbeat is detected, which is an activity that starts around 6 weeks before many women are even aware that they are pregnant. Individuals who oppose this law say that 85 to 90% of abortion procedures in the state happen after the 6th week of pregnancy. Now, the way that this law works, to kind of explain for those who may not be up on the news, is that it deputizes ordinary citizens to sue anyone who aids or abets in an abortion, and abortion clinics have been bracing for an onslaught of lawsuits. The patient themselves cannot be sued. However, doctors, staff at clinics, counselors, people who pay for the procedure, or even an Uber or Lyft driver taking a patient to the clinic are all potential defendants. The plaintiff, who brings the suit, does not need to live in Texas or have any connection to the abortion or show any injury from it. But if they sue, they are entitled to $10,000 and their legal fees recovered if they win in court. Defendants, however, are not entitled to receiving their legal fees back. So, another point of this case is that doctors who are sued, even if the suit is dismissed, have to report the lawsuits even when they renew license or obtain hospital admitting privileges. So basically, this is a very creative way for people in Texas to be discouraged or blocked from getting abortions. And when I say creative, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I agree or whatever. They're being creative. And again, this goes back to our point of when we talk about this stuff all the time, so many people go, oh, they're stupid. They don't know what they're doing. They know exactly what the fuck they're doing. And this goes to prove it. What do you got for me, Christopher?
Well, the first, I mean, oh Jesus Christ, where to even start? Um, I'm gonna feed off kind of the way that you went at this, which is, this is they're going about it a certain way and shaking up how they're going about it, blah blah blah. Let's keep in mind that while this state has decided that the thing that they should be doing is getting average ordinary citizens all amped up and having them basically, be vigilantes in all of this. This is also a state which allows you to get a gun and carry it without any sort of a license whatsoever. So you've got a bunch of vigilantes running around with their fucking AK-47s or whatever they got, and they're in charge of reporting people and policing abortion. Here's the thing. Let's just say, first of all, that whether it's good or bad, I mean, we know it's a bad idea, but let's just say that what they anticipate would happen is that people would, spend their days hanging out at the abortion clinic, because, who doesn't do that on their days off? And when they see somebody go in, they're gonna, find out, okay, this Planned Parenthood is doing something. We're gonna call the 900 number for $29.95 a minute and report them, right? That's not what's gonna happen. We've all seen the TikToks of all the Karens and all the people throwing a fit, and I can't get my double latte caramel frappe chino with caramel sauce something or other, and unless I'm wearing my mask, I'm gonna throw a fit and I'm gonna kick down your display and I'm gonna yell and scream and call you the N-word. That's the world we live in. We've all been seeing these videos. Now what's gonna happen when you've got somebody hanging outside the, Planned Parenthood and somebody's going in there? You don't think there's going to be confrontation? You don't think that people are going to freak out? You don't think that this is just horrible on that front alone, that you are putting this kind of power and you're putting this kind of responsibility on people who can't handle it. They can't handle not getting their coffee right in the morning, for fuck's sake. They can't handle this. And these are the same people that are running around with guns, right?
I mean, I would argue that confrontation has been happening for a long time now. So I don't think that that's any different. I think what's really different here.
You've empowered them. That's what's different. You've empowered them.
That's true. But also what they're doing is they're leaning on medical professionals and other people and basically saying, we're going to put your livelihood at risk if you do this. So you're trying to basically make a risk tolerance argument. And I think that's the manipulative ploy here that's really nasty and not great, right? Because there are some doctors who will say, they'll pull the Tommy Thompson and say, I've been sued in the Supreme Court, I've been sued in the federal court. But there's a lot of doctors, especially new doctors, who might be like, nope, I'm not taking that risk, and what's going to happen. And again, here is a lesson in privilege. Here is a lesson in class and socioeconomic status and things like that. Because those who have means will still find a way to do it safely.
Right. Absolutely.
Those who don't have means will not be able to find a way to do it safely. And you're going to see more incidences of, hospitalizations, potentially more incidences of death, all of these things, right? Because you are taking away the opportunity for people to do this in a safe manner. And again, this is another one of those situations where people focus on the really small thing. Oh, well, how many people are out there just having sex and getting pregnant and they don't want to have a baby, versus all the other reasons that somebody might decide that they want to get an abortion, right? Like, that's the key here is like, what business is it of yours why this person wants to do this?
It's none of their fucking business.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with them. But that's the thing is, this isn't about abortion. This is about control. This is about people wanting control over other people. That's what this comes down to, right? And there's so many different angles to all this bullshit. There was something that I had read online. I don't know how accurate it is because I'm not a biologist or a doctor or whatever the hell it is. But basically, how they broke this down, and it seemed fairly legit to me, is the way that pregnancy happens and when you find out you're pregnant and all of that. This isn't a 6 week, a 6 week window for you to make up your mind. It can be like a 7 day window. Like you've got like a week after you find out that you have to make this decision, and this is a life altering decision. Like this is a horribly traumatic experience for a lot of people. It's not like people are just willy-nilly going out there to spring break and banging everyone they can, and then I'm just gonna have to go to the clinic and get the abortion so I can go back out and do more of this. That's Are there some people that may be doing something like that? Maybe, but this isn't just a trip to the gas station, right? This is like a serious medical situation, and it's a serious mental health issue that people have to deal with. I know people that have gone through this that are still haunted by this many, many, many years later. And they just kind of flippantly throw it out there like it's nothing, like you're going to get your fucking ears cleaned out or something. And it's a whole hell of a lot more than that.
100%. And again, this is another situation where people have politicized a public health issue, right?
Yeah.
Because we are talking about a procedure that, when used at its best, keeps the person who is pregnant healthy and safe. And that is a public health thing. There are lots of stories out there where people chose to have abortions not because they didn't want a child, they wanted the child, but
Right.
that child had severe, disabilities that basically would have led to one of three outcomes. They die in utero, they die within minutes to hours of being birthed, or if they are the 1% who survive that, are going to live their entire life basically as a vegetable or something,
Right.
right? Like, there are people who have to, like you said, they have to make these decisions, they have to live with these decisions, and forcing people, and basically, kind of, you'd mentioned guns, it's really like they're putting the gun there and saying you have to make this choice immediately. But half the time people don't know, right? Like,
Yeah.
unless you're the type of person that is tracking your cycles and testing frequently and something you might even miss that 6 week thing, because by the time you realize, oh, I've missed my whatever, like, that's a very tight window.
Yeah, it really is. And Emily brought up another angle of this that is worth calling out and this just speaks to the hypocrisy of this, right? Like this is not an anti-abortion. Again, this isn't a pro-life thing. I mean, these are the same people that say it's my body, it's my choice. I'm not wearing that mask. You can't make me. But if it's a woman, then that's different. And it's her body, your choice. How does that work? And these motherfuckers they're not pro fucking life, because the second that baby is born, they don't give a shit who you are, what you are. They don't want to help you with any kind of support. They don't want to. I mean, Texas banned fucking masks in school. So they're perfectly fine with these fucking kids getting COVID and dying. That's perfectly okay. But you can't fucking do the abortion thing. Like once they come out, let them die. We don't care. All they care is just getting them old enough to go to the military anyway, so they can die there. It's just horseshit. Like they are not pro-life. It's just garbage that they wrap it up this way to get people all excited. It's fucking stupid.
I mean, you just said everything that I was going to say in a much more vulgar way than I was going to say it, so I don't feel like I need to comment on this anymore.
Yeah, vulgar is kind of my thing.
Good, good, good.
I was looking for another thing that I saw, but I'm not finding it. So I think we just move on to the next one. What do you say, B?
I agree, because like I said, you said everything I was going to say in a much more vulgar way, which really, that's
fucking
kind of our
Texas,
shtick,
man.
So.
Let's Jesus fucking Christ. If there's one group that gives Texas a run for their money, maybe it's these fucking guys.
The Chicago Bears?
It's fucking close. It's really close, which is scary.
So we talked a couple weeks ago about the Taliban, and we have an update. During a women's protest march in Kabul, Taliban special forces in camouflage fired their weapons into the air to bring an abrupt and frightening end to the march organized by Afghan women demanding equal rights from their new rulers. Taliban members have also whitewashed murals that promoted healthcare, warned of the dangers of HIV, and even paid homage to some of Afghanistan's iconic foreign contributors. The murals were replaced with slogans congratulating Afghans on their victory. A Taliban spokesperson tweeted that the signs were removed because they, quote, are against our values and instead we wrote slogans that will be useful to everyone. So this very much sounds like America, kind of,
It's
to
Texas.
me, right? Like, this is the whole, like, well, you can't say that Black Lives Matter because all lives matter. That doesn't help anyone. Like, it's the same thing.
It is. I mean, they talked a good game, right? Like they talked it up like we're going to be more inclusive and we're going to be smart. You know what? Just because the fox hasn't killed one of your hens recently, it doesn't mean you let the fucking fox in the hen house. It's still a fucking fox. The fucking Taliban is still the fucking Taliban. They're still assholes. I mean, I'm reading about, I mean, first of all, you got them breaking up this women's protest a couple different times. You've got them beating women at the protest because, you know, that's inclusive. You've also got them, the people that they're naming as their leaders are all these hardline people, not a single woman in the leadership group, because of course they're very inclusive. One of the guys, their ministry, the person that works with other companies, what is that called? Or not other countries, like it's not
Oh,
administer.
like a foreign minister.
Yeah,
person
something
or
like that.
whatever.
Whatever it is. This fucking guy is one of our like most wanted people. He's like banned in some country or a couple different countries. Like they're doing exactly what you would expect them to do. And here's the problem is like, why didn't we do something about this? Like it's just frustrating. I mean,
Well, and
you know who they are, you know what they're going to do. I don't care what they say. You know what they're going to do.
well, so I'm going to channel Dennis Green here. And for those of you who don't know Denny Green, just Google Denny Green Cardinals. They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook, right?
They're exactly
Like,
who we
that's
thought they
exactly
were.
what this is. And people want to assign blame as to who let them off the hook and why they let them off the hook.
Who
But
cares?
at
They're off
this
the hook.
point, it's like they're off the hook now, and they're doing the same thing, right? It's the old Albert Einstein. The true definition of insanity is doing the same thing multiple times and expecting a different result. Like, we're expecting a different result, and we're not getting a different result. So, it's unfortunate, and we're hopeful that these individuals are able to continue to thrive. But again, it's not looking that way. This is the whole, like, indoctrination that people here are screaming about because we're teaching you about history, as to where they're literally erasing
Right.
history and saying, nope, that didn't exist. We need to, right? Like, if you want to talk about that, ah, out.
Yeah, it's just it's so goddamn frustrating. Like, and yes, ambassador, that's the word I was looking for. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know if that's, he might have been given some other position, but regardless, he's one of the high ups in their group. And yeah, it's just this is frustrating because like we just keep letting these fucking people hang around. You know, like we can't let these fucking people hang around. Like we know they're bad fucking people. They're doing bad shit. Like we can't let them hang around. Maybe that makes me an asshole. I don't know. I'm spinning the wheel though. I'm done with these fuckers. They don't deserve our time.
Now watch us come up with like Matt LaFleur, so you just keep getting more mad.
Nah, Delta Health Insurance.
All right,
This is intriguing.
all right, so Delta, the airline that people hate because Atlanta. Starting starting November 1st, unvaccinated Delta employees who have health insurance from the company will face $200 monthly surcharges. An employee memo stated the average hospital stay for COVID-19 has cost Delta $500,000 per person. This surcharge will be necessary to address the financial risk the decision to not vaccinate is creating for our company. So your guy who was on the cigar Reddit might work for Delta, but this is interesting. This is business being business. What are your thoughts, Christopher?
You know, my initial gut reaction was like, this is fucking great. Just like if you're out there not getting vaccinated, you should fucking have to pay for that. But it's also a really slippery slope. And part of this is a personal approach, right? Because there's been people for years that have been saying, oh, why do I got to pay insurance when fat people are the ones who are getting sick all the time? And you know what, to a degree, that's true, right? Like I've got health issues that I have to deal with that my insurance is helping pay for. And some of that is because of my weight, because of the weight that I have. So I think it's a very, very slippery slope. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know if it should be. I mean, let's be honest. First things first, we should just have, I'm going to say the S word. We should have socialized medicine. Like we should just have national health care. And then this wouldn't be a problem, right? Like that's what it should be. Period. End of story. But in the system that we have, I just think it's a slippery slope. Now, maybe the right thing is you pay based on how much care you're using. I don't know. But I just think that this opens the door for some of those things. Oh, you're a smoker? Check. It's like when you're ordering a pizza, right? And it's like, oh, you want pepperoni? Add $1. Oh, you want sausage stew? Add $1.50. Oh, you want tomatoes? Add $4. And it's going to be like a checklist for your insurance. Oh, you smoke? Okay, it's going to cost you an extra $500 a year. Oh, you're fat? Okay, here's another $1,000 a year. Oh, you need glasses? Here's an extra $50 a year. I don't know. It just seems kind of iffy.
That's how health insurance, or not health insurance, but that's how life insurance works now, right? Like
Sure.
life insurance is doing the exact same thing that you just described, where it's like, oh, well, you have this condition. Nope, you're not qualified. Like this is already a thing in the industry. And especially with something like COVID, there is a specific thing that you can do to qualify. And I think health insurance is also like this. Like we have the thing through my employer where it's like we got to do these assessments every year. And if
Yeah.
we do the
Yeah.
assessments, like we get $150. And at one point they had talked about instead of us getting $150, they would charge you $150 if you don't do the assessment.
Yeah, pretty
So
much every year when I do the assessment, I send Brian a screenshot of the question that says, are you a smoker? Yes. Do you plan on quitting? No. Take a screenshot, send it to him. But yeah.
and see, and every year, like I fill out the survey, and it's like, you're gonna die in 3 weeks. You really should
Yeah.
seek medical attention. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, would you like health coaching? And I'm like, not really. I already go to the gym and have a trainer, and like I have all of these things already set up. So, but it's like, I think that in this case, like this is really the only way that people will be able to turn the tide is to use these specific incentives, right? Because asking people nicely isn't working.
Yeah.
Paying people isn't working. Like now you're saying, as you know, to be able to receive this insurance, and Delta does self-insure all of their employees. So it's not like they're, contracting this out or whatever, and it's
Right.
costing them money. So yeah, like it is
Yeah.
what it is.
I get that. And to Wiggum's point, yeah, they've been doing this for years with smoking. I agree. I can see this as being an area where people who are in that unvaccinated, I don't want to get the shot for whatever reason, those individuals could see this as a serious blow to their, like this is somebody mandating that I do something with my body that I don't want to do, which sounds very Texas-ish, I'm just saying. But they probably support that shit, but they don't want this.
Right.
So I can understand that. I can understand people kind of being against that. So I can kind of see that. But like this is just the way things are going, right? Wiggum and I actually had a chat. What was that, this weekend? I think yesterday, might have been yesterday, where it just kind of seems like the world's kind of going the direction where you're going to have to be vaccinated to do certain things. I mentioned to Brian that earlier today I saw on a Facebook group that I'm on, where somebody's posted a pictures like, yeah, I'm kicking back with a cigar and a beer, to relaxing before my last day of work. I got told that, my last day will be in a couple months because I told him I wouldn't get the shot. That's kind of the world we're now. He said he works in healthcare. I don't know what he does, but clearly if you're in healthcare, you've got to get the vaccine. But I think we're just we're in that spot where, from somebody with my point of view, that the vaccine is fine. The vaccine is healthy. It's safe. You should take it. You need to stay safe. You need to make sure that other people are safe. From my point of view, it's obvious, right? Do whatever we need to do to get people vaccinated. But I'm also not obtuse to how people feel on the other side. The problem is that This isn't just your choice, and this isn't just something that impacts you. And that's where you're an asshole if you don't do it. That's what I think.
All right, let's move on to the next.
All right, I'm spinning it. What are we getting angry about this time?
Yeah, your cigar guy kind of made me angry, so I'm glad to be off of that one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about Rob Manfred's continued attempts to ruin baseball.
They fucking
Speaking
suck.
of speaking of people who have a very controversial following, Bob Nightingale argues that the gross disparity in MLB payroll salaries reflects why it is critical that MLB and the players' union find a way in their labor discussions to solve the great divide in the next collective bargaining agreement. Nightingale cites the Dodgers payroll, which is a whopping 261 million, comparing it to the payroll of the Pittsburgh Pirates at $49.1 million. Nightingale also discusses that while there are 11 teams in baseball with payrolls that exceed 150 million, 10 teams have payrolls under 100 million, including 4 of them who have payrolls below $75 million. So, again, an age-old discussion where people debate whether there should be a salary cap or a salary floor, or how do we deal with the disparities in baseball. Christopher, do you have any new thoughts or opinions to add to this discussion?
I am so glad that you phrased it that way. Do you have any new thoughts on this? New thoughts. This is the dumbest fucking article I've read in years. Like, you could literally take this article, change only the salary numbers, and change the date that it was published to like 1998. It's the same goddamn story. It hasn't changed. It's not going to change, right? Like, it's just not going to, because players are never going to give up on that. And the owners are never going to be able to stick it to them the way that they want to, because they don't have the balls to really draw a hard line. It's just not going to happen. So it's the same story. It's always going to be the same story. And eventually we're going to end up with Major League Baseball having a team in LA and a team in New York and maybe a team in Chicago and then, you know, some random team somewhere else, like maybe Miami. That's it. The whole major leagues will be 4 teams because there won't be any money and people won't be able to compete. It's just, they're stupid, but that's what's going to happen.
I mean, there's always going to be money, right? But that's the whole thing. It's like Pittsburgh, if they've got a payroll of, what is that, like $50 million, are they going to recoup that? Maybe, right? Obviously, everybody's hurting after the COVID season, but
Right.
this is the whole thing. You have the haves and the have-nots. You have the people who want to spend money and the people who don't want to spend money, right? Like, your Dodgers and your Yankees, they want to spend money. The Padres went out and backed up the money truck for a bunch of people. The Cubs are like, oh no, we got to cut. We got to cut, cut, cut,
Right.
cut, cut. We're going to, have Wrigley Field sponsored by Spirit Halloween or whatever because they're trying to get out from under. Like the Brewers, they brought in Giannis as a, minority owner because sure, let's get some capital invested in this team, right? Why not? So that's the hard part. And I don't know that there's a right answer. And that's why I phrased it as, is there any new things? Because people have debated the salary floor versus the salary cap versus X versus
Yeah.
Y versus Z. The players who are, top tier players are happy because they're getting paid.
Yep.
The owners are happy because they still have incredible control over young, controllable talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not even get
So
started on that.
So both sides have exactly what they want, even though they complain about the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Because a team like the Brewers, I'm sure the Brewers would love to be able to spend more money, but they either don't want to or they can't. We'll never know which one of those is true, right? Like we don't know the pockets that Mark Atanasio has. We don't know. Again, we don't need to know that. That's not information that we need to be privy to. But they're at a point where their payroll is probably maxed out between 100 and 130, 40 million dollars, right? Like what they were carrying the past couple years is probably as heavy as they can ever get.
Right.
You have the Yankees who they will pay whatever they need to pay to get the players that they want because they basically are an income generation machine. Like you
Yeah.
see the Cubs, like they tried to do it, but then like their team started to get bad, and like now they're like, nope, now we got to pull back. We got
Yeah.
to, save this money. Like I don't know. I honestly don't know what the right answer is. That's why I said new info, and I don't have any new info.
The right answer needs to be that any team can be competitive. And right now, frankly, you just can't, right? Because it's a spending game. I mean, if Jeff Bezos decided to buy the I almost said Washington Senators, the Washington Nationals, and he wanted to throw his $50 billion around, he could literally buy every single free agent there is and just create an all-star team. And you know what would happen? The Yankees and the Dodgers would be bitching like crazy because they can't get any players. That's what would happen. Like, this is the one thing, and trust me, no league is perfect, but this is the thing that the NFL does really, really well, right? Is that the NFL, any team can really be successful. Every year, you can always be hopeful. Now we know that, if you have a top of the line quarterback, you're guaranteed like 7 wins, right? So you get that really good quarterback, and that's going to make the big difference. But you know what? Next year, Aaron Rodgers might be a free agent or whatever. We might release him. Where is he going to go? He could, like, literally any team could afford to get him. Like, if their salary cap is in a good spot, right? But it's not a situation where the Raiders are going to come over and they're going to say, well, we can give you $500 million a year and nobody else can touch it because they can't afford to. They don't have, their owner doesn't have enough money to do it. That doesn't really exist in the NFL.
Right. And that's what happened with the NFL is the NFL essentially made their players disposable, right? Because it's like it's monopoly money. And the NBA is, kind of in between MLB and the NFL, where technically in the NBA there's a salary cap.
Right. You
But there's
you have to
also
pay double when you're over a certain amount or something stupid like
yeah,
that.
but it's basically still like people can throw around bills if they want to. But
Yeah.
yeah, like with the NFL, there's a lot of disparity because players are disposable, right?
Yeah.
Like basically anybody can play for anybody at any point because contracts aren't guaranteed and you can basically go, no, we're done with you now.
Yeah. I think it should be in a situation where, when I'm trying to think of a name, when Juan Soto becomes a free agent in 3 years or whatever it is, every single team should have an opportunity to have a legitimate, equal opportunity to get that player on their team. But they don't. They just don't, right? He's going to end up with the Dodgers or the Yankees. It's just how it's
well,
work.
that's Corbin Burns, for example.
Yeah,
When Burns comes up for
like our 3 pitchers are gone. They're not going to re-sign with us. Juan Mustache. I want to make sure, since we can't see the chat here, I want to make sure we call a couple of these out. So Emily says the major leagues are going to be named like dinosaurs from the recent Jurassic Park. The Sprite Delta Dinosaurus. That's pretty much what it's going to be. And then revenue sharing with salary cap. Yeah, I think the NFL really does it right. I'm spinning the wheel. See, this is a good story. This is about Fortnite, man.
Don't you be teaching my kids about history.
Anyway. I don't want to hear about those people.
So Fortnite Creative, which is a free game mode where players can craft custom maps and matches, is doing a Time Studios map to present the March Through Time, which is an experience to celebrate the life and legacy of Nobel Peace Prize recipient Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In March Through Time, players will be teleported nearly 60 years into the past to a reimagined Washington, D.C. called DC 63. In DC 63, players will travel to the Lincoln Memorial and the United States National Mall, where King made his iconic I Have a Dream speech. Once a player completes this level, they'll get a special decal for their locker or things that I don't understand because I don't play Fortnite, but it's an optional mode for people to engage in where they can learn something. Now, again, that was the biggest thing that I thought about when I read about this was all the people who'd be like, don't you be teaching my kid about things. But this is kind of cool. What are your thoughts?
It's funny. I'm reading some stories on this and like there's a lot of really bad stuff that happened. But here's the thing. is because people are assholes, right? So people went on there and they did shit they shouldn't be doing, which makes sense. But I love the fact, like,
Let's call them out. What did they do? Because again, we need to.
well, I've just kind of scanned over it, but they were doing like certain emotes and dances and stuff like that, which were obscene or whatever. So they disabled all of that. But like, people are assholes, right? They'll try to ruin anything. I just think this is a really cool idea as a way to try to educate and bring history to people. Like, kids are all over these video games, right? They're all over Fortnite. So if you can give them something like this that they can go check out and they can experience, that they can, view the I Have a Dream speech and those types of things, I think it's a cool idea. I think we need to be innovative in the way that we're educating people. And
Yep.
I thought it was a really cool idea. Now, depending, regardless of how it ended up, and there was some iffy stuff apparently that happened, but I think the idea and the approach to that was really cool. That's why I threw it on here.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree because it's one of those things where, if a kid goes in and does this and then they are in class and they actually have the ability to learn about this, because there's all of that going on right now too.
Right.
But if they have the ability to learn about Dr. King, like they'll be like, "Oh, I know about this because of Fortnite," right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Little Wig yesterday, actually. I asked if he went in there and did that. Oh, yeah, I did that. Oh, well, what do you learn? Who is Martin Luther King Jr.? And, his answer wasn't incredibly eloquent, but he's like 8 years old or something. You can correct me on that. But he knew who he was. He knew that he was fighting for equality. And he was fighting for white people and black people to be equal and not separate. And I don't know if he knew that before he went in there or not, but he was able to express that, and I think that's a really cool thing. All right, I'm spinning the wheel. I was correct. Wow, amazing. Well, this is topical. Let's talk about Twitch. This is going to be my extra point, by the way, but now we'll just talk about it now. B, I think you're on mute.
I suppose I am on mute because I am a kind host and I try to mute myself. Anyway, Twitch streamers organized a boycott of the platform on Wednesday, September 1st, in protest of Twitch's inaction in regards to hate raids that affected marginalized streamers across the platform. Twitch has not confirmed a specific date for the release of its latest set of improvements that it hopes will curb hateful content on the platform. Those involved with the protests hope that the increased pressure and exposure will encourage Twitch to make releasing these necessary tools and changes a top priority. So it basically sounds like Twitch is dragging their feet and they're not solving an issue. And for me, like, I'm seeing this on a different end because right now the drops for out of the park baseball aren't working and it's been like a week and they're like, well, Twitch knows about it. They just haven't done anything.
Yeah. Sounds like a Twitch thing. Yeah, it's so just to add a little bit of context to this. So there's been quite a few things that Twitch has not done lately. So I'll jump back to the DMCA stuff, and I'm sure anybody that hangs around the stream hears me kind of mention DMCA now and again when, Z-Dubs tries to sing a song on stream or whatever. But DMCA it's the Digital Millennial Copyright Act. And basically what it says is you can't redistribute and play stuff that doesn't belong to you, basically. And a bunch of streamers started getting flagged. Record companies would put a claim in and say, oh, Skanzi is listening to this Drake song. You don't have permission to do that. So Drake's record label will send a cease and desist, basically, to Twitch and say, you need to remove this content. Twitch would remove it, but then they would give me a strike, a DMCA strike. Once you get 3 of those, you're done. Like, completely. You never come back to Twitch. So that was an issue because they apparently the record companies got a bug up their ass and they just dumped a bunch of these on Twitch all of a sudden. Creators were going crazy. The biggest issue is that Twitch didn't give anyone any kind of tools to fix this. There wasn't a way that you could identify they don't even tell you, hey, it was this video, so you can go and remove it. They didn't give you an option to remove. And then on top of that, they said the only way you can fix this is to remove all of your VODs, your video on demand, your recorded streams. Now, for me, it wasn't a huge issue. I never listened to that kind of music on my stream. And I've only been streaming for a year, but there's people who've been streaming for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Like they like this is a lot of memories and stuff that they've got saved up, and the only option was to go through and delete them. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, Twitch also didn't give them a way to do this on in mass. They had to go individually and delete every single one. And there were some developers who came up with things that you could run this script, it would delete your stuff, whatever. But Twitch didn't do shit. Eventually, they started to change. They did a little bit of stuff, and now it's a little bit better. But then this hate raids thing started coming up, I don't know, a month or so ago. And I'm sure it happened some before then. But basically, what a hate raid is these people will load a crap ton of bots into a channel. And generally, these are marginalized creators, right? A lot of them are black creators or people of color, but also LGBT creators. And then these bots will just spam the chat with the words that you would expect that they would use, right? The N word or the F word, I guess, if you're LGBT, whatever, you know, that word is they want to abuse you with. And it just spams the whole chat, like hundreds of messages going through here. And Twitch has nothing. They got nothing for it. They still have nothing for it. And again, there's some developers who have worked on some things to try to help people, but Twitch has no tool. They've done nothing. The only thing Twitch has done is they sent an email last Wednesday-ish, like middle of last week, that said, "Hey, just so you know, we're gonna work on something." That was it. And it's just like, fuck out of here, man. So it's just frustrating. So yeah. So anyway, that's long story short. Part of the problem with Twitch. But there were a bunch of creators last, I think it was Wednesday, decided we're just going to take a day off. Don't stream, don't watch streams, just stay off Twitch for the day. Now this happened to coincide with two of the biggest streamers on Twitch jumping ship going to YouTube. No, not me. Much bigger than me. I mean, their channels are bigger, not anyway. But even with that, even accounting for that shift, some of the numbers that I saw is about a 10 to 15% drop in viewership that day, which is huge, right? When you're talking, I don't know how many minutes of watch time they get, 1 billion or something, like 10 or 15% of that is enormous. So hopefully it makes a change. I mean, at least we know Twitch is listening to some degree, because they at least sent out an email, said, hey, we know we're idiots. We're going to get better. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing. I hope that wasn't too much of an info dump. I just think it's super, super important. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. And it's one of the things that spurred my change, but more on that later. You got anything to add, B, or are we moving on?
We are moving on to Cincinnati.
Moving on to Cincinnati.
That's a Bill Belichick line.
Oh, okay. We are at 42 minutes. Do we want to spin again? Or I think that your random rankings might run a little bit on the long side. So do we want to switch to that right away?
I kind of want to. You teased it in the Discord.
Are you throwing a flag?
I kind of want to throw my flag, but I don't know. Like,
no, we got to do it. I put it in the Discord. I put it on Twitter. We got to talk about it.
Yeah, there's two on here that I would want to talk about, but we'll go to Matt LaFleur. So
who's Matt LaFleur?
The Packers coach.
Oh, okay.
So Green Bay Packers coach Matt LaFleur has an ask for Packers fans this season. Stop it with the wave. LaFleur said, we're going to have some talks with some people in our building about how we can help educate our fans in certain situations. Continuing, LaFleur said, when you're on offense and it's a third down situation, I'd rather not hear the Go Pack Go chant, and when we're on offense, I'd rather not see the wave. So this was a bigger kind of context thing, but a lot of people like grabbed onto that, like, don't tell me not to do the wave whole thing. But I just thought it was interesting. And it's like, I kind of understand it from the perspective of like coaches always want it to be quiet. Like you'll see people doing like quiet down thing. And like I have a personal vendetta against the wave because when I used to attend baseball games before COVID, I would be trying to watch the game with my magnifier and like some drunk 17-year-old kid be like, hey man, why didn't you get up? I want you to do the wave. And I'm like, I'm trying to watch the game here. So that's my personal vendetta. But Christopher, you so eloquently put this out and told the people that you would give them your opinion. So now I cede my time to you so you can give an opinion.
I would like to paint a picture. Okay. So it's December. Green Bay, Wisconsin. You get there and you have to park like 17 blocks away from the frickin' stadium. You're in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven. But you start up your grill anyway because it's Green Bay and you can fucking tailgate anywhere. You're freezing your ass off. You got your snow pants on, your big parka, and a big parka over that, and another parka over that, and you're huddled over the grill. You eat your brats. You take the 14-mile walk to Lambeau Field. You get in there, maybe even buy one of those little cushion things that they sell when you get in there. You get up to your seat, and you know it's going to be a bleacher seat because that's all they got. You sit down there and you put the cardboard on the ground so your feet don't freeze, and you're huddled up with your people and you're watching the Packers. Let me ask you a question, B. Did Matt LaFleur pay for my ticket to get into that game?
I don't know, did he?
No, and so he can keep his goddamn mouth shut. I'm a do to wave if I want to do to wave.
All right.
And here's the other part of that is this is now this 100% could be on the reporting, right? But this is a man who is a leader. He is in a leadership position. And the way that he expressed his feelings on this was beyond poor.
Well,
Like I understand where he's coming from, right? Like his point is, hey, in this specific scenario, this is a way that this could have a negative impact on the team. Or, hey, when it comes to home field advantage, doing the wave is distracting for the players. Or, hey, when you're doing the go pack go chant, if you do that on defense, that might interrupt the offense team that we're trying to beat, and they can't make changes at the line of scrimmage. But if you do it when we're on offense, then that impacts Aaron Rodgers' ability to make plays, which is what he does so well. And so by doing that, this is how you can give us an advantage, right? You explain it like that. Explain what the purpose is behind it. But when what you say is, hey, I don't want you to do the wave, go fuck yourself.
And like he did the whole I love our fans are great, like blah blah blah. So like he did that.
But don't do this. No, sorry.
I don't know. I think this goes into that slippery slope of booing even, right? And this kind of even brings the Javi Baez thing in there because he was booing the fans because they were booing him and
they fucking suck. Both of them.
Okay. Yeah, it's just very interesting, right? I was amused.
Yeah. It's the same old shit. Like fucking you paid to get into the game, do the goddamn wave. That's your right. Paying your salary, Matt LaFleur. I'm doing the fucking wave. I don't even want to go to Packer games. I don't even like going to Packer games. I might go to a Packer game this year just to do the fucking wave, even if it's just me standing up all by myself. All right, B, let's do it.
Random rankings. Well, since we just talked about our good old friend Matt LaFleur, that means that football season is near. So, what Sconzi and I will do today is we will predict the Green Bay Packers record. How do you feel about that, Sconzi?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So Sconzi is going to use his beautiful platform here to bring up this document on our screen.
I'm trying. There it is.
And once he does that, we will walk through each game and give our unbridled and uneducated analysis on what's going to happen. Because after all, we are almost qualified.
Almost. Just barely almost.
So we start on Sunday, September 12th with the New Orleans Saints. Not in New Orleans, though. We're going to be hanging out in Florida because you
Tampa,
know who's
right,
open for business? Florida.
Yeah, always.
So I am going to go out on a limb and put in a dub for the Packers because New Orleans is starting Jameis Winston, and that's good enough for me. I mean, it's going to end up being 35-38 because Jameis Winston will throw 4 picks and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, New Orleans just isn't the same since Drew Brees retired. So yeah, I think that's an easy dub.
Started off with a dub.
Yep.
Next, we move to Monday, September 20th. I can't do that because, we don't want those. Do we get
DMCA.
those on YouTube?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
Oh yeah. You can still get them.
But we are looking at the Detroit Lions with new quarterback Jared Goff. What are your thoughts on this one, Christopher?
I'm a much bigger proponent of Jared Goff than you are, but I still think we started off 2-0.
All right, I will roll with you. Now, we have the San Francisco 49ers on a short week. Do you want me to take this one? Do you
Yeah.
want to take
No,
this
go
one?
for it.
This is your typical letdown spot for a loss. Now, I wonder if the 49ers will still be starting Jimmy Garoppolo because that's probably the Packers' best hope in this game.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because if the 49ers are starting Lance, they're done. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. This is a loss. I mean, it's a short week. They have to travel all the way to San Francisco. We just never played the Niners very well. So yeah, in my mind, I think this is an L.
All right, so we come back and we face Ben Roethlisberger in what may be his farewell season. What do you got here?
Well, Emily let us know that she did a weekly pick'em a few years ago, and she based her choices on which mascot would win in a fight.
Nice.
I mean, that's awesome. I love that.
That is
Um,
pretty awesome.
all right, so Pittsburgh at Green Bay. I feel like this is one that I feel I want to go L, but oh, this is a tough one. I think this is going to be a tough game.
Yep. It's a 50-50.
I'm going to go with an L. The
Right.
reason why is because I just feel like we have to have some adversity at some point in the season. I think this could be it.
All right.
You're going with the dub?
Taking a W. Now, I am going with the dub. Now we are on to Cincinnati for real. Going to Cincinnati, facing Joe Burrow in those Cincinnati Bengals. This is a trap game,
Yep.
as they call it. I think I'll take the dub though. So we're starting here. We've got 4-1 on my side. What do you got for us, Gon?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the dub, but here's my thought is I think that we lose one of these two games.
Okay.
I think either we lose at Pittsburgh and then we go and we destroy Cincinnati, or we get up and we win the game in Pittsburgh, which I think is going to be a huge game. But
Yeah,
then we
that's
have
a
the
home game,
but then
too.
that's a home game. But then I think that if we win that game, then I think we go to Cincinnati and we lose there. I think Joe Burrow throws 5 touchdowns against us and
Okay.
we lose there. But I chose him to lose against Pittsburgh, so I'm going with the dub in Cincinnati. And then I'm just going to put the dub in Chicago because it's fucking Chicago.
I mean, I can't. I mean, what if Justin Fields is starting by that point? Does that
Oh, well, in that case,
concern
I
you?
need to do this.
I think I'll put the dub there, but I'm being a Debbie Downer here. Washington, that's an L. The defense is real good.
Yeah,
So-
they really are.
So I'm thinking that, I mean, again, this run of 4, I feel like you go 3-1. You lose to Pittsburgh, you lose to Washington, or maybe Cincinnati. So I'm picking Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the dub because as much as he's my boy, I figure Jair is going to get 2 off of old Fitzmagic. He's still in Washington, right?
Who knows? Fitzpatrick might not even be starting at that
He-
point. That's like
he will be.
October. That's
This will
7
be
weeks.
this will be the game that gets him onto the bench. Jair is going to get a couple. He's going to return one for a pick 6, and they're going to pull the plug on old Fitzmagic.
All right. I don't like this. I should have looked ahead. They're going to Arizona. This game,
Oh, short week in Arizona. Oh, that's rough.
that's rough.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm giving him the L. We never do well against mobile quarterbacks, and Kyler Murray's probably the best mobile quarterback there is right now. I don't like this.
What? That defense isn't very good though. I'm gonna give them the dub.
All right.
All
Are we-
right.
are we gonna
Kansas
win at
City,
Kansas
that's an
City?
L. We're move on.
I don't know. I Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
agree.
Like I
I'm
could
gonna
see
give
it
him an
being a
L.
dub, but I'm gonna give it the L.
I'm gonna give him an L too.
All right. Now, perpetual nemesis,
Yeah.
Seattle comes to town. What do you got for us?
Well, I've got them losing 2 in a row, so they're gonna destroy Seattle at home.
All right. Got the dub. So we've said Seattle. So now let's recap. After 10 weeks of the season, we're going to scroll up. Win, 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 win. So that's 4-2, 5-2, 5-3. I can't count apparently.
So you got them at 7-3. I've got them at 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4.
All right. So Minnesota, what do you got for me?
Who's the quarterback in Minnesota?
That would be well, who knows because none of them are vaccinated except for the guy that they cut. So by week 10, who knows? But Kirk Cousins currently.
Yeah, I'll give him a W.
All right. So we
The issue is whether we can keep Dalvin Cook under 250 yards.
right. Yeah, let's go with the dub. All right.
All right.
Los Angeles with new shiny Matthew Stafford.
I mean, he knows how to play at Lambeau Field.
It's true.
And it's what's his face? LaFleur's coaching mentor or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna give him a dub. I think this is gonna be close. I think this could easily be an L. But I'm feeling like this is, after the 2 losses in a row, I think this is when the Packers get their shit together. They really start to, circle the wagons, as Chris Berman used to say. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a run.
All right. So I have them at 8-4. You have them at what?
8-4.
8-4. All right. So we both got there, but
We
we
did.
just got there in different ways.
All right.
All right. Now we're back to Justin Fields. So
It's Chicago. You can't choose them to lose to the Bears. I mean, you just can't.
all right, Baltimore. What do we got for Lamar Jackson?
Ooh. Baltimore's tough, and it's at Baltimore.
I filled in my L.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him an L there too.
All right, we got Baker. The Baker Mayfield Blues explosion.
They're gonna
Implosion.
beat them.
All right, Minnesota again.
I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm just putting them. They're gonna finish it off. They're gonna finish strong.
All right, so then that would mean that they are finishing this season 12-5.
Sounds about right, I guess.
Sounds about right. Now
So we both have them at 12-5.
we just cut it a different way.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So what would be, if we're looking at this, right? We've identified Pittsburgh as a swing game. Arizona's a swing game.
Let's do this. So our tiebreaker is who did better on the wins, like the actual choices, right?
Yeah, right.
And then if we need another tiebreaker after that, we do the score of the final game. Or we can do something interesting like total yards that Aaron Rodgers will throw for. What do you want to do?
Tiebreaker. That's a good question.
Wig says he has a one game
Will
better.
Jordan Love take one snap this season?
No, because they'll put him in after they get a blowout.
Right. All right, 12-5. Final record.
Total quarterback touchdowns.
We got to figure out. Let's see. We got to look up his stats from last season. Aaron Rodgers. This is where we become almost qualified, right? We got to go look this up and figure out. All right, so in 2020, well, and the other part is we have to project for a 17-game season.
That's true. Yeah. There's his numbers from last year.
All right, 42,099, 48, 5. Let me think.
Let's do yards. Touchdowns. There's just not enough touchdowns. Let's do how many yards.
Well, we could do all of them. We could do yards, touchdowns, interceptions, projection.
All right, do it. You go first.
All right, so I am trying to figure out this number. All right, so that's 268 plus 42.99. I'm doing this mathematically because of course I am. So I think we're actually gonna go with so what does he get? 40. Ooh, he had 44 one year. Oof.
44
All right,
what?
we're gonna go with 4,341 yards.
Okay.
And then we're going to say 38 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Okay. That seems legit.
I feel like I'm low on touchdowns, but
All right, I'm gonna go. Ooh, what did he have last year? 4,300 yards.
yeah, at 42.99.
All right, I'm gonna go with 41.89 with 41 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
All right. Well,
So there we go.
loyal listener, loyal viewer, hold us to these when we forget to talk about things in January.
That's right. That's right. It'll be the
Cool.
the podcast on January 11th. And with that, I think we're done with random rankings, and it's time for B to give us his extra point. Oh, Wiggs. We'll put Wiggs on here.
Uh-oh, Wiggs.
Wiggs has 5,045 and 8. All right.
All right. So Wiggs is very optimistic.
And Wiggs also had him at 13 and 4.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
B, hit us with it.
All right. So today, for my extra point, I have prepared nothing. I came to this podcast with an open mind, an open heart, and an open brain to just bring you the content that you so deserve as our loyal fan and listener. But I did want to let you know that a few weeks ago I told you that I was going to apply for the thing. I don't remember how many details I gave you because my brain goes to soup. But I got accepted to do the thing that I told you I was going to apply for. So that's an exciting thing. So my late September and October are pretty much going to be insane, but it's going to be fun, and I will look forward to growing my skill set. So that's what I got for my extra point today. Skanzi, you already gave people your extra point, but give us another one.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. That's super awesome, and I'm excited for you. And if I can help in any way, let me know.
Can you narrate the audiobook for me?
I mean, I do have experience. I have narrated an audiobook before. I mean, a chapter, but still, it's out there. You should go get it. Anyway, so yeah, I did mention what I was going to talk about, which is the Twitch kind of stuff, and I wanted to touch base on. I wanted to tie that into what I think is an important message. So obviously, we're on YouTube now. I used to stream on Twitch. This is kind of technically the first YouTube stream, but I did do like the restream thing. So there was stuff on YouTube before, but this is the first legitimate YouTube only stream. I decided to do that last week. So I had been feeling all kinds of weird about this hate raid and all this stuff that's going weird with Twitch and how they're doing stuff. And it was kind of a trigger for me when Dr. Lupo, who's a huge streamer and he's one of my favorite streamers, he made the jump to YouTube Monday or Tuesday of last week. And it just kind of hit me. It's like, move to YouTube. And I started to really think on it because there's a lot of benefits to being on YouTube. There's a lot of negatives being on YouTube, but really what it came down to is morally, it seemed like the right thing. Like when I started this whole streaming game, I started on Mixer specifically because I didn't like the way Twitch did certain things. I didn't like the atmosphere. I didn't like the environment. I didn't like a lot of the things that Twitch was doing and what they stood for and the people that were there and the toxicity there. So I went to Mixer and Mixer shut down almost immediately. So it's probably my fault. So then when I really thought about this, it's like, you know what, morally, I think the right thing to do is to let's move to YouTube. Like, is my channel with 2 or 3 people that watch it routinely going to break Twitch's back? Absolutely not. Is it going to make YouTube the next destination for everybody? Absolutely not. But it makes me feel better. It is good for my soul. And sometimes you have to do that kind of stuff. It's not always easy. It's Wigs with the link. I love it. It's not always easy to do things because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes it goes against other interests that you may have. Certainly there are negatives to me making this change, but in the end, the most important thing is, I can look at myself in the mirror and say, this is the right decision. I'm doing the right thing. And I hope that you get the chance to do that on something soon, because it's pretty freeing and it's pretty amazing to be able to do that. And that's what I got. And I think we don't have Brian. You don't. You've got a picture of me. I'm going to shut that off so it's not super confusing. I can see in our other thing, Brian disconnected. So hopefully you can come back, and hopefully that doesn't mess up our recording. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up since B is not here. I'm going to put our socials up here, which needs to be updated because we are no longer live on Twitch. Just as a reminder, we do this podcast every Tuesday night, mostly every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, right here on YouTube now. This is where the home for my stream is going to be. You can also find us recorded. We're going to record, all the recordings will be here on YouTube, so you can watch them after the fact if you want to do that. We also publish this out on anchor.fm/WeRandom, or on any of your podcast apps you can find it. Just search for W-I Random, and we'll pop up there. You can find Brian, Landmark MKE, on Twitter. I'm Sconzi at Twitter, and then we also have our production company, Almost Qualified Productions, at AQ_PROD on the Twitter. Sconzi and AQPROD are both on the Facebook, so you can find us there. And then I think that, put the link tree out there too. So the link tree is where I've got all the different links. So it's got the podcast, it's got the Patreon, it's got I think it's even still got the Twitch account. No, I think I took Twitch off of there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. That's where you can find us. And I appreciate you being here. And just in time, after I wrap this all up, Brian's here to give us the final word and shut us down for the week.
Everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Sconzi in his venture to move to YouTube. And we will catch you next week. Also, if you have the contact information for my ISP, please tell them to stop dropping my frames during our podcast. I really would appreciate that.
That would be nice.
Talk to you next week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.